I wanted to talk about a common pitfall I see with people who build a gaming PC, especially when it comes to using DDR5 memory. A lot of people will build their first PC and it takes forever to boot up. And people will be like, well, what's going on? Obviously, everybody expects the first boot up to take some time, but subsequent boot up shouldn't take as long. If this is the case, you might have a feature in your BIOS turned off called Memory Context Restore. This is also referred to as DDR5 memory training. With this feature off, it means that your BIOS will not remember your RAM's training and it will retrain your RAM every single time. Now, technically, this is better for stability because there are very, very small changes that can happen from boot to boot. Since DDR5 is pretty picky, there can be really small changes in your latency. However, if you're just using a RAM with XMP or Expo and you're not doing any really crazy overclocking or anything like that, you're probably fine to just turn Memory Context Restore on. Now, what Memory Context Restore does is it allows your BIOS to preserve the last known working training settings for your DDR5 and use that every time it boots up, so it skips retraining your memory every single time. And the only time it's going to retrain your memory is if you do a major change in the BIOS. Or if you change any setting in your BIOS related to your memory, it's probably going to retrain your memory. Now, I've had Memory Context Restore on for a while, and I haven't run into any stability problems. Now, I don't have a very aggressive overclock on my RAM. I have CL40 RAM that I've changed the timings to CL36 on, and it says 6,000 mega transfers on the box. Out of the box, it comes at 4,800 until you enable Expo. I'm running it at 62 just because that's really the most stable speed and latency that I could get. So my overclock really isn't that aggressive for it, which is why I can get away with using Memory Context Restore with no problems. Now, sometimes even if you have an aggressive overclock, you can run Memory Context Restore with no problems. It just really depends on your situation. If you turn it on and your computer isn't stable, then turn it off. Then you're just going to have to wait the extra time that it takes to boot up. But if it's stable with it on, you might as well leave it on because it's going to save you probably 2 minutes at least in your boot up time. I remember when I was first figuring this out, I was like, my computer is really fast. Why is it taking so long to boot up? Well, that could be the reason why. So if your brand new PC is taking forever to boot up, you probably didn't do anything wrong. You probably just need to turn Memory Context Restore on. Now, for most computers to get into your BIOS, you can hit either F2 or delete as your computer is starting to get into the BIOS. Now, your BIOS is probably going to look something like this. I have an MSI BIOS, but they all look pretty similar. Now, I don't remember off the top of my head where the Memory Context Restore setting is, so I'm going to hit search, and then I'm going to type in the word memory, and it's going to find it right here, is Memory Context Restore, and it is set to enabled. Now, if you set it to auto, it's probably going to disable it, but if you set it to enabled, then it's going to turn Memory Context Restore on, which is what you want in order to get faster boot times. Once you enable that, pretty much universal on all BIOSes is press F10 to save configuration and exit. Now, on the MSI BIOS, it'll tell you what you changed. I already have it on, so I didn't change anything. Then hit yes, and it's going to reboot into Windows, and you'll notice this time it's going to be a lot quicker. So that's about it. Just make sure to avoid this mistake when you're building your first gaming PC. Have a great day.